In this episode, I sit down with Dena Enos, a marketing powerhouse, to reveal how you can unlock the potential of your under-resourced marketing team. Discover how the strategic importance of marketing, how to attract and retain top talent, and foster cross-development collaboration to enhance your customers' experience. She shares how leveraging data can optimize your marketing strategies, and just tune in for some actionable tips and proven strategies to transform your marketing team into a dynamic force driving your business forward. So don't miss it.
Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show, where you will discover how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. Paul Guyan, the mastermind behind the Lead Machine, introduces you to trailblazers who inspire you to implement life-changing solutions and systems you can model to nurture your leads and get your offers seen by your ideal clients who will invest in themselves and you. Be sure you visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, tune in and get ready to transform your vision into reality.
Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show. I'm Paul Guyan, your host, lead machine coach, and the founder of the Lead Machine Mastermind and Marketing Agency. I'm dedicating to helping you tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. So whether you're just starting out or taking your business to the next level, let's get this conversation started and turn your dreams into reality. Dena Enos transforms how mission-driven organizations grow, strengthen their in-house talent, and give back in a new and meaningful way. She founded Stronghouse, a data-driven marketing agency that has developed over 100 businesses and helped them flourish while paving a new path for social impact through her professional work. Her influence extends beyond her agency, however. She chairs boards, mentors future leaders, and actively shapes the landscape of organizations like Prosperity Catalyst and Strategies for Youth. And our youth is super important for our future. Her dedication to growth isn't just measured in numbers, it's reflected in positive ripples she creates across diverse fields, sort of like the butterfly effect, huh? So Dena, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming. I'm excited to get to know you. And the interesting part about some of the things that we maybe share is our love of the common good and helping to have an impact. And I've been on the board of a local, well, it's actually a goodwill organization. It's called Food Rescue of Northwest Michigan. And today we rescue millions of pounds of food and redistribute it to fresh food to our local area. So what a powerful way to have an impact on people. And of course, there was also marketing and other things involved. And so how did you get involved in aligning your passions and having a local impact or impact, maybe a global impact?
Sure. Thank
marketing.
you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here and to talk about something that matters so much to me. I started my company 9 years ago, and in many ways, it was something that I just had to do for multiple reasons. I felt like the grind of being at startups was starting to wear on me. Felt like I wanted to have more of an impact outside of my professional work, but as we were raising our family and growing our family, those weekend hours where I used to volunteer or go to events, all those hours were gone and went to other things. And so I really started thinking about how can I be proactive and how can I make philanthropy and giving back part of my daily life. And the business model for Stronghouse was born. And for every customer and client who I work with, I volunteer marketing hours to a nonprofit of their choice. And that has been a really amazing way to, first of all, connect with like-minded companies who feel like they are passionate about growing their own business, but also have ties to their community or have other aspirations larger than just scaling their business. So it's been a really great way to find like-minded people and like-minded souls. And the really interesting piece, which ironically, as a marketer, I did not think about, it was not intentional, but it has been a great marketing hook for my agency. It's been a key differentiator. It's been a way to maintain a relationship long after a project is finished by letting them know how the Give Back program worked, how the nonprofit is thriving after the Give Back project, and just a nice way to touch base in the future. So it's been very fulfilling on multiple levels, even in ways that I didn't expect when I initially started it.
Yeah, when you align yourself with a charity or a nonprofit or for a cause, a lot of times you attract other people who are supporting that cause, and we all need marketing. We're all in sales. We all need to have growth and sustain. And excuse me, we don't always recognize that the power of that network is so uh, it's so powerful, so useful, and also can be very profitable. And of
Absolutely.
course, of use, everyone wins that way. And so that's an interesting way to align your business. So
Yes, and I was really happy to hear about the local food rescue that you've been involved in. And I actually just kicked off a new give back project with a local food rescue in the Boston area called Food
oh,
Link. And it's so incredibly important, especially as we are in a time where there's, for some, so much abundance, and for others, not enough at all. There's this huge disconnect of resources.
mhm.
And just to be able to rescue those, thousands of pounds of food that either go unused, uneaten, unutilized, um, it can be life transformational for individuals and for entire communities. So that's amazing. I would love to learn more about that nonprofit afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. Um, well, let's go into the topic is about maybe outsourcing or smart sourcing, I would call it,
Yes.
your marketing team to uh, to strengthen the team that you already have. So, can you tell us a little bit how bringing on an outside consultant or an outsourced team to help your marketing team get more better results?
Yes, absolutely. So this is something that was also a bit born out of necessity and not really expected. So I had spent my career kind of bouncing back and forth between either large companies or startups that then eventually were acquired or grew into larger companies. So I love businesses at all different stages. And it's really exciting when you're growing. But even the best marketing teams will hit a lull or hit a time of complacency, especially with how different all of the channels and all of the marketing platforms are and how quickly they've been changing, especially in the last 3 to 5 years, particularly with the advent of privacy policy changes, of AI. So it's really challenging to find something that works and will consistently work for years. And oftentimes you have fantastic team members, but they get a little burnt out, they're spread very thin. And what you'll find is that leadership will get to a point where they think more is more. And they're trying to add more channels, add more creatives, add more campaigns, hoping that that will be the catalyst for growth in something that's otherwise stable, maybe waning a little bit, or only growing in low single digits.
Hmm.
So when I come and join a team, and I truly view it as joining a team for 3 months, 6 months, my job is to help them identify what is stable and working, and then find that 5 or 10% where we can start testing and learning. And for a lot of them, this is super exciting, but also very scary. And the key is to structure it in a way where you're not completely taking them off balance. You're not changing everything so that they can't find their footing. You're celebrating what works and you're helping them identify, hey, you don't really care about these Facebook campaigns here, right? I mean, they haven't been doing much for you. What are 4 new creatives that we can test? Let's take a look at your landing pages. I don't want to change the one that has the most traffic going to it, But how about the second or third most traffic?
Mhm.
What's something you've always wanted to test and try? Let me be the catalyst for that. And let's get some good small wins early on and then start building our consensus internally so that we can tackle really big things. And what you find is that number one, people are excited to get a change. They're excited to step out of what their day to day looks like. Number two, most of them have a lot of great ideas. They've just been nervous, too busy, didn't feel like they had the support internally to raise their hands and suggest them. Um, and number three, they've been scared and were just as nervous about changing the day to day because that's so much of what they've known. But really creating a structure where you can test in a risk economical way is the number one ingredient to really getting that catalyst for new ideas and for growth.
Yeah, and I like how you said, I think that maybe those teams, don't have a complete well-rounded skill set that is data focused, and
Right.
being able to understand that the teams go, "Aha, that's why it's not working right." They don't have the experience yet to dig down and find out, okay, what this keyword's not converting, and it's because it's an informational or educational type keyword, and maybe we should be teaching them something and educating them instead of trying to convert the sale. So let's take the same keyword and move it over here to this landing page or to this blog post,
Exactly.
that might make more sense, and let's test that. So testing is something that I think business owners tend to forget that it's a super huge
Yes,
opportunity.
that is exactly the right way to say it because people will be passionate about it for a short period of time. And then maybe they get burned by a test or two. And then it's very convenient to forget about it or to move on to what is tried and true.
Yeah, and too often, I think, business owners, they try new things and they go, "Well, direct direct response marketing doesn't work, or direct
Mm,
mail doesn't work,"
mm.
because they didn't take the time to test the offer, the headline, the copy, the all the little components that combine to make the thing successful. And, it's because of the resource and things like that. So bringing someone on to help your team in those ways makes a whole lot of sense.
It's been really exciting. And I think one of the pieces that resonated in what you just said to me is talking through teams who aren't comfortable with data and figuring out how to get them comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Because within a single marketing team, you have a lot of different competencies and a lot of different types of marketers, including super creative people or writers who may not feel like they can be data oriented people. But I think showing them how to do it is a super empowering thing. I remember when I was first working at TripAdvisor in house, and I had inherited a team that was a strong performing team, but again, had been in a lull and had actually been forecasting to have a decline instead of growth in the coming year. I learned that they were all big sports fans. And I myself I did not grow up in a sport fan family, but have, as an adult, become a huge Dodger fan and just a big sports enthusiast. And for whatever reason, when we were talking through keywords in terms of pay-per-click campaigns that we were running on Google, I was talking to them about, I want you to think about your keywords like they're players. And you're just figuring out who you're playing and who you're benching. So this player or this keyword could perform really well for you in July and August. And then in September, it's time to bench them and bring up a new group of players. And I think just helping people visualize it differently so
Mhm.
that it connects to something that really resonates for them can unlock so much creativity, so much comfort, so much familiarity with data that they didn't know that they had.
Yeah, I like that metaphor. Making the complex simple
Yes.
is a superpower that not everyone possesses, and it's really useful, especially when you're if you come in as a team, an outside team, you're you mentioned scared. You're going to be
Yes.
scared because you don't know what you're in for. You're afraid for your job. You're afraid
Yes.
to look stupid because you don't know what they know. But that's the reason why you should bring them is because you have this skill gap, this knowledge
Yes.
gap to
Yes.
to learn. And I think
Absolutely.
having a team that learns from that outsourcing experience versus just say, oh well, they're just going to take care of it. That's that's a big mistake. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Yes, and my goal is always to strengthen the in-house team. And what I share with the team when I first meet them is, look, I this is going to be a success for me if every single one of you gets promoted and gets a raise. That means I really knocked it out of the park. I'm not here to take your job. I'm not here to be here for 5 years. I'm here to help like ignite that growth. And I think when you have those conversations up front, it really helps. They don't always believe me. I have to be honest. They're
Oh
still
yeah,
skeptical.
of
And that's
course.
why it's important for me to earn their trust.
Mhm.
But speaking about these marketing tactics in a very conversational way, I think has truly been um, a way to unlock that trust and to build that collaboration. Because oftentimes you'll bring in an agency or you're working with an expert, and what do? They use jargon. They talk in a very um, esoteric or sophisticated way, and perhaps it makes perfect sense to them and the other 5 people they spoke with that day, but it's not the best way to speak to your team. In my mind, let's take out all the jargon. We don't have to talk about statistical significance as a metric. We can just talk about why it's important and what we're going to do. You just say, we run the test until we're sure it's right. That's all it is, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that building that and making it accessible will really help everyone on your team, every player on the team feel like they can participate and win.
I like that. So, what are some of the examples you mentioned? There are some examples of strategies you help implement to increase the communication and collaboration. I know one thing that I've discovered in working with agencies and some of my private clients and mastermind members is one of the sources of fear. And I might be rambling here. One source of fear is that okay, there's no way that you are going to know as much about our domain as we do. Uh,
Right.
and I think it's your job as an outsourcer to help pull that out of us. But
Yes.
a lot of times, like one of my clients, we rewrite everything they give us because they don't understand our domain, even though we've given them buyer personas and use cases and things like that. It just takes time to know our business, and so
Hmm.
we know it better. So that gap is is a place of fear. So how do you make sure that that collaboration and communication happens? And
Yeah. That gap is, I would say, a legitimate source of fear, but something that can be turned into an opportunity because the same way that an outsourced resource is new to your product or your service is the same way that your prospective customers are, right?
Mhm.
So if you can't share with me in short, digestible nuggets what your business is about or what your services are about, chances are you're missing that opportunity and you aren't executing those conversations and that communication with your prospects well either. So it's finding a balance between the sophistication of knowing a lot of institutional knowledge about a business and really being able to distill it for everyone who is coming to you new every single day, right? So you want to be able to have those brand new conversations with someone who has absolutely no context, help them build that context, help them understand what the 3 most important value propositions about your products or services are. And then think about, so what does the next conversation look like? And what does 3 conversations after that look like? And how about customers who have been with us for 3 years? What do we need to deepen that relationship? What do we need to meet their expectations and exceed them moving forward? So it's a great exercise kind of in how would you simplify it to me as someone who's just learning about your products and services? How would you tell me and describe to me what your products and services are about?
Yeah, and that's so important because knowing who many of the business owners I've worked with and their teams have, and my private clients even really can't articulate because they're not marketers. They're business owners. They're there to sell their product. They just
Yes,
know that
they're
a lot of
experts in that product or
a lot of
service.
them a lot of them hate their product, hate marketing
Yes,
because it's so
understandable.
hard because they have to answer questions like that. But
Mhm.
if you don't answer those questions, then you're marketing to everybody, and not everybody is your customer. And so
Exactly.
having a process that you go through to help them discover who it is that they service and
Right.
what the benefit of their what's in it for them in your product
Yes.
is again a superpower, which
I think that's exactly right. And you had mentioned earlier about personas, which I find many startups or business owners are late to adopt and bring in because it
yeah
is quite a bit of work. And especially early on, it feels restricting to say we're only talking to three types of people. But if you are talking to everyone, you are effectively talking to no one.
yeah
And so you really miss out on the opportunity. And what I advise clients to think about is this is not the only set of personas you will have, but you need a starting place. And picking three where you can learn and excel and practice is setting you up for success to be able to have five where you can learn and excel and practice. Because again, if it's a single message to a large group, it's likely to fall flat and not resonate with anyone.
yeah that's the thing that the difficulty of doing that is I think one of the fears and one of the things that they kind of avoid. I mean, I know in my personal experience, I've done the same thing, and because I'm in a technical field, uh, helping tech in so many different ways, but
Right.
I focus on helping people create machines that help convert leads,
Yeah.
generate and convert leads. So that's something that I can talk about and get specific about instead of just, oh, well, I provide technical services or whatever it is that I
Right.
do. It's so difficult to market a message that's so broad.
Right. Right. And when you can share with them, I help you find the leads, I help you convert them in a
Yeah.
more automated process so that you can scale it and you sort of connect it with what the impact at the next stage of your business can be. I think that's when you really unlock the potential and
Yeah.
when the message can really excite a prospect.
Right. Exactly. What are some of the steps that you can help a company work with someone
Yes.
outside, but, and maybe the outside consultant is doing these steps, but a company should say, "Okay, if I'm bringing on an employee, I know that I have an onboarding process." Should there
Right.
be some sort of onboarding process to bring someone in to help us with our marketing?
Right. So it's such a great question. And in many ways, I think just the process of deciding that you want outside help is actually in of itself helpful and instrumental to the success of the process. And this is what I mean by that. When a CEO or a business owner reaches out to me, that person has already made the decision that the way they've been doing things is insufficient
Yeah.
and they are ready for change. That's a very different mindset than if you have an in-house team and you're all looking at the spreadsheet and no one's happy with the spreadsheet, but no one's ready to make changes. So first and foremost, it's a mindset. It's a willingness to accept that the way that you're currently doing things is not going to bring you the results that you want. And what I often tell clients, actually almost every single time, you cannot change the output without changing some of the inputs.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some of them. And I think is it the definition of insanity or the definition of stupidity, which is, doing the same thing but expecting different results. So
That's both.
right,
It's
right.
stupid
So
insanity.
so and one of the so it's kind of like, what are you willing to change? What can we put on the table that you are comfortable changing? That would be step number one. Step number two is usually they're already doing too much. So when I come in, one of the most important pieces is identifying focus and saying, look, we're not going to win on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and X. We're not going to do that all in the first month. Let's pick the two that matter the most. And let's really focus and double down there, because doing so many things, it's very hard to be excellent at them. Narrowing it down to two, getting that familiarity, getting some early wins, build confidence, starts creeping up those numbers. And then you feel like you can take some of those learnings and apply them to different channels. So those are usually the two biggest changes, I would say, in terms of bringing an outside resource in and how to set them up for success.
And so, and how do you decide to do that? How do you come to that realization? Is it just someone else is going to say it, or everyone wants to grow, but not everybody knows how. And
Right.
so at some point you've got to come to that decision point. And so what are some of the ways that, or telltale signs maybe that, that a business owner can say, oh, this is the time, or
Yeah,
I'm ready.
absolutely. So I would say that if you've been doing the same activities for 6 months and you're either getting flat or waning result, that would be a first sign. A second sign would be your best campaign or your best creative or the best word of mouth way that brought in customers before doesn't work at all anymore. So that insurance policy that you had in your back pocket for your business all of a sudden feels worthless or almost worthless.
Yeah.
A third sign would be your team is tired. They're burnt out. They're going through the motion, and they're doing a whole lot of the same. And that is tough, because often when results aren't great, you're stretching yourself thinner, you're working harder, you're trying to do more. But again, more of the same is not necessarily going to change the results. It's so hard when you're in that grind to pull yourself out. And oftentimes it's tough for an in-house person to sort of rally the troops and get them thinking about the field in a different way. Um,
Yeah.
those would be I think the three telltale signs.
Yeah. And so what would you do? Like one of the strategies, let's pick podcast guesting, because
Yes.
you're doing it right now.
Yes.
So there are people who host podcasts and who are guesting on podcasts, and they're both hoping for some results. Number one, as a
Mhm.
host, you want more exposure, but you also want to bring people into your programs. And
Right.
perhaps maybe your guests might be ideal clients, or their audiences are ideal clients for you, which is, my strategy. And
Right.
well, what would you recommend for, maybe a podcast guest, or even a host who's not getting that result that they're looking for? What would be some things that you would look at?
Yeah. So that's interesting. So, you talked through it's either clients or their audiences. And
Yeah.
oftentimes we find ourselves still, even when we broaden in that way, in silos.
Mm.
Um, when I personally feel stuck, creatively or professionally, I often like to look at ads from completely different industries.
Mm.
I'll look at what a video game company is doing, what a makeup company is doing. I'll look at car ads. I'll look at, step in showers, whatever it is. I always try to find something that is so different than what I'm looking at, because sometimes you unknowingly just stay on the same path. Um, and so what I might suggest is, instead of thinking about the client or the audience, maybe think about what the passion is or what the industry is. So you're speaking to a lot of business owners, maybe targeting specific industries where small businesses and medium-sized businesses are either ramping up the most or experiencing the most lull. Uh, and thinking about by industry, and then thinking about, for those communities, what are the biggest issues that they're facing? Is it like how to make payroll? Is it how to scale my business? Is it, you know I should automate some portion of my business, but I
Mhm.
don't know which. Um, and sort of think about what the three biggest questions are for those business owners and how you can help answer them by bringing on guests who can speak to exactly that. That might be
Right.
the way I think about it just off the cuff.
Yeah. And and I like how you said looking outside of your industry. Uh, I mean, a big example was banks. When banks opened up their drive-through,
Yes.
uh, and some of the restaurants took notice of that, and they became fast food restaurants, and that was a huge, huge improvement in their uh, in their reach, and it it totally innovated the way that food was delivered. Of course, it made a lot of
Yes.
people sick too, but that's a different
Yes.
story. But yeah, innovating from outside of your industry is, "Oh, well, that won't work for us," is usually what you encounter. But, seeing what works in other industries, ads or processes or, ways and business models is a super way to to ramp up your team and get them excited about implementing something that no one in your domain is doing, which is, I think,
Yes.
another way when everyone else is doing this, you should do the opposite, is I think what they say. But that makes a lot of sense. But you have to
Yeah.
test it first, right?
You do have to test it. One other piece that I would say is I've noticed for most of the podcasts that I listen to on a regular basis, there is such a focus on the quality of the guest who you're bringing in and the types of conversations you can have. But for the podcasts that I hold dearest to my heart and feel like I want to listen to every single week, it's because I have a connection with what the host says. And I believe them and I trust them and I want to know what's going on in their lives in terms of how um, they are evolving and growing. And so I love Q&A sessions. I love it when my podcast host opens up a show a quarter to the community and ask the community for, their top 5 questions. Uh, and it's a really fun way just to also hear them talk off the cuff. And if your question is answered, it feels like they're speaking directly to you.
Right. Well, that's a great thing. I like that. So, what else would you like people to know about you and your message? And I forgot to tell you that later on I was going to ask you this kind of question. Well,
Yes.
what are three things that our listeners and our viewers can do to put your ideas into action
Mhm.
today?
Yeah. So the first piece would be figure out what you can test. And I would start small. You don't need to test your homepage. You should test something that no one will miss if it goes awry. But if you get a 30% win, you're going to be really proud to spread that around. The second piece would be collaborate. So working with other departments and figuring out what is important to them, or if it's not a department and it's 5 people, figure out what matters to the other 2 or 3 people in the department. What at the end of the year is going to make that person feel like a success? What are they working towards? And figure out how you can both work on something that will accomplish that for you and for them. Um, I have learned in like over time in my career, I think when I was earlier in my career, I felt like I had to have all the suggestions and the ideas. And that was the way to really solidify my impact on
Yeah.
an organization. And now I just want to get stuff done. It doesn't matter if I was the one who suggested the idea. Doesn't even matter if I was the one who gets credited with the idea. But if the idea happens, it's success and the numbers move up and to the right, it's a win and I will happily take it. So I would really encourage that kind of thinking because then the sum of the parts is bigger than each individual part that you started with. Um, and then the third piece would be get into a routine. So it's not just enough to test, you have to have a discipline around it where every 3 weeks you're trying something new, every 4 weeks, whatever the cadence is that's reasonable for your team and gives it enough time to learn if it worked or not. And if something bombs, which surely it's going to, You
Yeah.
need to have just as much discipline of, okay, so this was lousy. What did I learn from it? And can I go exactly 180, or should I just adjust it up, adjust it down? What is the test result telling me? If it could tell a story, what is it telling me? And what does that mean for the next thing that I want to show my prospective customers?
Right. Well, thank you for that. Can you tell us a little bit more about your profit work and your volunteer work, and also how people can get in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely. So with Strong House, I run give back projects for every client who I work with. And it has honestly been my most favorite part of the job. Um, Nonprofits are such incredible organizations with talented, smart people, and they're all doing 10 jobs, all of them. They're all under resourced, constrained by time. So often I will create a content calendar. I will redo their messaging for their website. I will look at their SEO strategy and help them build that out. We will talk about, here are 5 different types of posts you could try on social media and see if your audience uh, uh, reacts to them positively. I've built out email programs. So it's a way to give thanks and to give back to those nonprofits in something that is so concrete and actionable, where my goal is to hand it to them on a platter, on a digital platter,
Yeah.
so that they can take what we work on together and send it out to their donors the next day, or put it live on their website the next day. That's really been the goal, and that's what I hope to continue to do for the next 9 years with Stronghouse. And the best way to reach me is either on LinkedIn. I am Dena Enos, or on my website, which is www.stronghouse.us.
Excellent. Well, Dina, thank you so much for joining me today. And
Thank you.
remember that faith and action go hand in hand. So keep the pedal to the metal. Until next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show, I'm Paul Guyon, and Dena Enos. It's been a pleasure having you today.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It's been such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lead Machine Growth Show with Paul Guyon, where we show you how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream so that you can transform your vision into reality. Remember to visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show.